After a year away, the madness of March is back, and we couldn't be more excited at Yahoo Sports. We're here to help you fill out your brackets with all the Cinderellas, the sleepers, and the shocking upsets to expect in this year's tournament. Or, if you're timid, just go straight chalk. We will also try to help you make a couple bucks along the way. Some of us are here purely to hype our alma maters. All that and much more. Why wait any longer? This is Tourney Bracket Now.
Yahoo Sports Tourney Bracket Now is presented by Captain Morgan, Ford, and Paramount Plus.
We made it! We finally made it. Well, not everyone made it. Kentucky didn't make it. Duke didn't make it. But the rest of us made it. We've got meaningful March hoops ahead, and we're going to help you sort it all out here on Tourney Bracket Now. We have a panel of esteemed experts who will give you the information you need to take down your pool. I'm Andy Behrens, Big Ten propagandist. My expertise is generally limited to the colleges and universities of Eastern Iowa. So let me introduce the real experts. We are joined by Yahoo Sports National College Hoops reporter, Pete Thamel. Pete, this sure beats last year.
Well, Andy, you aren't kidding. We all remember sitting there in stunned silence when the bracket didn't become. I went to Boston University that Thursday. They canceled the tournament. BU had just clinched the Patriot League the night before, and it was just this awful mix of a euphoric moment entering the unknown. I didn't like the unknown. I like this.
This is much better. Also joining us is Yahoo Sports college basketball analyst Krysten Peek. Krysten, welcome.
Thanks. I'm with you guys. I'm just excited that we have a tournament after what happened last year, and we're all here talking about. I will say this, the West region is a snooze fest, while the South region has a ton of great potential matchups, so I'm ready to dive in.
We're already talking smack here. Finally, the freshman on our squad. We hope that he's not a one and done, but he's very talented. You never know with these kids. Preston Johnson, Yahoo Sportsbook analyst. Preston, how you doing, sir?
Thank you, guys. I'm doing well. Thanks for including me. I think last year marked the first time in 11 seasons I wasn't in Vegas betting on round one opening weekend of March Madness games. So to have this, man, it's so beautiful. I'm excited. There's so many betting opportunities, and hopefully we'll have a few winners along the way today.
I am hoping we can be in Vegas for this next year. It is time for our Paramount predictions, brought to you by Paramount Plus. We're going to give you some prognostications based on some of the shows you can stream on Paramount Plus. Pete, start us off.
Well, my favorite show that I download on Paramount Plus is Aerial America, and I'm going to give you two high flyers. Jalen Suggs of Gonzaga, the freshman, will be the first one-and-done top 5 pick, only the second one-and-done in program history. Jalen Suggs can soar. The football coaches who recruited him said he could have been an NFL wide receiver. And my other Aerial America inspired player is Greg Brown of Texas. He's 6'9" with approximately 10-foot wingspan. Greg Brown is enormous. He's a human helicopter, and he will be bringing the highlights to March.
Krysten, let's hear your prediction.
All right, this tournament is all about Survive and Advance, and just like Survivor on Paramount Plus, you need different strategies if you're going to win. Georgia Tech's defense is incredibly hard to read. It starts out in this 1-3-1 midcourt, sometimes 1-1-3 midcourt zone. Then they fall back to a 3-2 zone and a matchup zone. It's basically 3 defenses morphed into one. And one ACC coach told me you always have to be prepared to run your secondary offense against Georgia Tech. So I think they're going to create a lot of problems for teams in the Midwest region, and they have that survivor mentality.
Love it. That team was a joy. Preston, you're up.
So I got a good one, I think. My favorite show as a kid was Rugrats. And so I'm looking at this bracket. I'm trying to find a team that's pesky, always getting into trouble, and who can at least give you a lot of trouble. And that's Dana Altman's Oregon Ducks, who always seem in the recent years to be peaking in March as even a lower seed like they are here. They end up falling to a 7 after losing to the Beavers. they still make these runs in the big dance. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that he can throw a lot of schemes defensively, whether it's zone, whether they go man, they press you full court. It's just tough in a tournament setting to have that kind of turnaround and prepare successfully. So I think they have a really good chance to make a run, and maybe a surprising one. I know in round 32 they see Andy's Hawkeyes, but I think they can really give them a run.
I'm actually going to stick in the state of Oregon, go with the Oregon State Beavers, and they are a lot like Twin Peaks, which can be streamed on Paramount Plus. Listen, Twin Peaks was kind of campy, kind of supernatural. It was also the best show on television for a couple years. The Oregon State Beavers have been the best thing on television, at least that I've seen, for the last week. They are a joy. Again, a little bit supernatural, a little bit weird. It feels like David Lynch is directing the whole thing. They got a giant. Twin Peaks had a giant. There's too many parallels to even mention. Jared Lucas, he's kind of like Agent Dale Cooper. Love this team, but also like Twin Peaks, I feel like Oregon State might get canceled a little bit early. Those were our Paramount predictions. Thanks to Paramount Plus, where you can stream live sports, breaking news, and a mountain of entertainment. Sign up today by going to ParamountPlus.com. All right, let's dive into the brackets. Let's start talking about some actual matchups in the West region. Let's start off with Virginia and Ohio. Virginia in a crazy situation right now. We all know that. They got a lot of players who aren't even going to be able to practice for a week going into this thing. Wonderful team all season. They get Ohio. The Bobcats rolled through their conference tournament. They gave Illinois a scare early in the season. Is this an upset possibility, Pete?
I think it has to be. The uncertainty surrounding Virginia would make you foolish to pick them deep in your bracket this year. They're not even getting to Indianapolis until Thursday. KP is going to give us a little bit of an update on them later on. But I am in love with Ohio wing Jason Preston. He's averaging 16.6 points a game. His story is so unreal. He actually left basketball, enrolled at UCF as a regular student, and he was studying, of all things, journalism. That's right. He wanted to be a sports writer. And then he got a call from a prep school, came back out. He lit up the MAC tournament, scored 22.5 points per game. I talked to Ohio coach Jeff Bowles this weekend. He said they're writing a movie on his life.
You know what, Pete, this might be an upset, but let's start talking about Virginia and their situation and the potential that they could win this first game of the tournament. Of course, they were hit with COVID issues, but Coach Bennett said that most of his team is now in quarantine, but there are some players that are able to get some shots up. Of course, they're not going to be able to get on the court all together. Maybe one practice before Thursday. They're not heading there until Thursday night, like I told you. And the player in question won't even be able to play for the first two rounds. I'm rolling the dice on this one and saying a great college coach like Tony Bennett will get his players to rise for the occasion in the first game and get that W.
From a betting perspective, I think this matchup is really interesting because Virginia would technically be a double-digit favorite if we were under normal circumstances, which we're not. And so how do you impact that uncertainty, which Pete alluded to, with them not really being able to practice? They're going to show up later, and they're playing a guy. I mean, Preston, I think the Illinois game that you referenced, Andy, they went into Illinois. They lost by 2. It was 77-75. Preston dropped like 31, 8-6. I mean, he's dominant. He can lead a team even against a Virginia pack line defense within double digits. So now the sports market, the betting markets, they're around 8.5, 8. I think that's closer to fair considering the uncertainty with Virginia. It's not one I can bet on. I'm passing, but I am rooting for Ohio. I think it would be a great story to see them, go into the next round.
All right, next matchup that we want to dive into here. Let's talk about Oregon and VCU. The winner just moves on to get stomped by my Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's not think about that just yet. Oregon, a team that is 36, I believe, in Ken Pom right now. They got handled by Oregon State in the conference tournament. VCU, pretty frisky, great defensively. What do we think about this one, Pete?
I really think VCU is going to struggle in this matchup, Andy, because their style is predicated on them having the athletic advantage. Obviously, we're all excited to see Bones Highland on a big stage, the most dominant player in the Atlantic 10. But I really feel like Oregon, I'm gonna double down on what Preston said earlier in his Rugrats commentary. Oregon is such a difficult matchup. I talked to a coach out west this week. He said, Oregon's the one team you never want to see in your NCAA tournament bracket. They play man. They go to a 1-3-1. They go to a 2-2-1. You never know what defense they're going to play. And they're methodical on offense with great athletes. So they're going to bring you down to the last 10 seconds of the shot clock. And Altman's going to do a great job manipulating the game. I think Oregon controls the tempo against VCU in that way and cruises to a win here.
You know, I've got to disagree with you, Pete. I think this game will be a lot closer than people think it will, because on the other side of the ball, like you said, is 6'3" sophomore guard Bones Highland. He's one of the highest recruits VCU has ever landed and is playing a bit like Nick's rookie, Emmanuel Quickley, right now. And he scored 28 points in 29 minutes against Dayton late in January. And if he gets hot, I think you should look for VCU to get this one.
So I actually think Oregon, I said, Rugrats, they're going to be pesky. They're going to give everyone trouble. This is kind of high. The point spread 6 points. I think I kind of am in between where Pete and Krysten are, because I do expect Oregon to advance. And it's a team that I was hoping going into this, I'm going to back them in the first round, maybe even the second round if they can. But 6 points, it's too high. So if anything, I would actually look to the VCU side. But I guess history or potential that Oregon brings to the table is that Will Richardson, and the upside we're not really seeing is that he didn't play a game until early February for the Ducks, and he's shooting 40% from three. So adding a 40% three-point shooter is huge in a tournament setting with Chris Duarte, who's their go-to guy, going to be a potential first-round pick, an NBA prospect. He shoots 43% from three. So they have the weapons, and then if defensively Altman's scheming is correct, they're going to advance. I just wish this was more like -4, -4.5, as opposed to -6. So I got to just stay away.
Pete, give us another team to watch in this region.
Well, I'm going all in on Santa Barbara, the Gauchos. Gwyneth Paltrow is their most famous alum, and she could be cast as Cinderella. Ja'Cory McLaughlin is the best player on Santa Barbara, and it's not surprising he's a transfer, former top 100 prospect. I'm sure KP saw him in a lot of AAU gyms. He went from the Beavers to the Gauchos, and he has thrived. Most talented player in the Big West, 16.2 points per game. But there's plenty of more roster geography to play with transfers. When you look at this Gauchos roster, they've got a transfer from Pacific, a transfer from Oregon, a transfer from Nevada, and their second best player, Amadou Sow, was a high major recruit. So they are loaded. They've won 18 of 19. They have all those traits you want out of your 12 seed to pull that upset.
KP, let's say I'm an NBA fan. Let's say my team has a lottery pick. Who am I scouting? What are the players that I'm really keying in on in this region?
I mean, it's no question. The player that everybody wants to watch is freshman Jalen Suggs. He's the highest recruit to ever go to Gonzaga. He's averaging 14.3 points and 4.5 assists per game on a loaded Gonzaga team. But let's look at the first real test that Gonzaga is going to have. It's going to be Oklahoma, and do not sleep on point guard Davian Harmon and this Oklahoma team. The sophomore guard put up 23 points on Cade Cunningham in Oklahoma State late in the season. So look for this potential fun matchup in the second round between those two point guards.
Preston, make us a little money in this region. What are your best bets here?
So I got two. I got a point spread, and I also have a total that I like. We'll start with Drake. I think this is the best side to bet. It's the play-in game. They're going up against Wichita State. Drake's getting 2 points. My personal projection actually makes Drake a small favorite, and that is despite Hemphill, who they lost their leading scorer a few weeks back to injury. Look, they played fine without him. They ended up upsetting Loyola Chicago by a point in an overtime game. Without him, they play the game very slowly. They try to minimize variance. They've been extremely elite defensively. And where I really like their value is that they have one of the best turnover margins in the entire country. They value possessions, and they also attack the offensive glass to create extra possessions. And guess what? Wichita State, they rank 333rd in the country in defensive rebounding rate. So Drake's going to be able to do more of that. And I think ultimately Wichita, they're just kind of overvalued from a market perspective. So considering I'd make Drake a small favorite, we're getting 2 points. I like them there. And then the total, Eastern Washington, Kansas, over 142.5. I think it's actually moved in the recent minutes since we kind of put this graphic and stuff together, but I like it up to 144. My projection is 146.9. And a lot of that's to do with Eastern Washington, their ability to push tempo and shoot the ball. They're efficient from anywhere, any location on the table, but they're not going to get any stops either. Kansas will do their thing. So I like the over there in the Eastern Washington-Kansas matchup.
All right, now is when we find out if any of you has the boldness, the vision, the imagination required to pick Iowa to win this region. Let's start with you, Pete, for your winner.
We'll leave that to you, Andy Caucus. That is your realm. I am just embracing the chalk. I'm on a chalk rocket for Gonzaga to get out of this region. They can sleepwalk through the first 2 weeks and get out of this class.
I'm with you, Pete, and I'm going with the Gonzaga. And I had an NBA scout tell me that when BYU was up at 12 at halftime on the Zags, they came out. Jalen Suggs didn't even warm up with his team. He went straight to the half court and just stared down the BYU team. And the scout said to me, that's when I knew he was going to take over the game. And that's what you want heading into the NCAA tournament and ultimately getting you to the championship game.
It's Gonzaga for me. I'm sorry, Andy. I actually think Oregon might end up upsetting Iowa anyways, but Gonzaga, they were the favorite before the season. Nothing has changed. They've obviously won every single game. I talk to people and they say, well, how good Gonzaga are they really? Because it's Gonzaga. They've never done it before. Doesn't mean they can't do it this year. And they're a tier above the next tier, which is really Baylor and then kind of everybody else. They're just a few points better if you're looking from a point spread perspective on a neutral court than the next best team. Therefore, I just have them coming out of this region more often than not. I got to trust it.
I did not have Preston pegged as the sort of coastal elite that would come in here and hate on the teams from the heartland. That there's no way I'm coming on a show like this and not predicting the Iowa Hawkeyes to go to the Final Four. Some of this, honestly, is just a contrarian play against Gonzaga. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. It's hard to win a pool if you've got the Zags winning the whole thing, because everybody's going to have the Zags winning the whole thing. Iowa gave them a game. Yes, it was a double-digit margin, but it required Jalen Suggs to just absolutely go supernova earlier in the season, hit 7 threes. He was great. He can be great again. It's possible. But Iowa has senior leadership. They have the player of the year in Luka Garza. They are a legit great team. They are a contender, and they are going to be my pick to come out of the West. Make sure to sign up and play this year's Yahoo Fantasy $50,000 tourney pick'em contest. It's free to enter, and there will be over 10,000 winners, with the grand prize getting 10 grand plus an MGM Resort Vegas getaway. Sign up to play right now at yahoo.com/tourney. We will dive into more of the bracket in a little bit, but first, Pete got the chance to catch up with an old friend of the show, Alabama head coach Nate Oats, as the Crimson Tide were on the road to Indy, literally on the bus on Sunday night following their SEC tournament victory.
We welcome in Nate Oats, coach of Alabama, 24-6 on the bus, fresh off his SEC championship with a dramatic win over LSU today. Nate, your first time in the NCAA tournament at Alabama, your fourth time as a head coach in your career in the NCAA tournament. How does it feel?
It feels great to have won the SEC tournament. I mean, happy for our guys. We got a 2 seed. None of the brackets are easy, and we're going to have to play. Get the coach against Coach Pitino. He's sure he's going to have his guys ready to go. The good thing is I've got Herb Jones and Petty and Quinterly and Shackelford, Keon Ellis, and go down the list. So I'm not playing Coach Pitino, but my guy's going to have to play his.
Was Rick Pitino a guy you looked up to? Your team certainly play with a tempo, a pressure, and an edge that would mimic the style he's played over the years at his stops.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I looked at a lot of stuff he did. When I was in high school, I think I had all his instructional tapes, and he's been doing it at a high level for a long time. I remember watching his, shoot way back when the Providence days, and then it was his Kentucky teams were high level, and the Louisville teams. I mean, he's been doing it at a high level for a long time.
You've obviously had one of the best seasons in school history here at Alabama. We won the regular season SEC, you won the postseason SEC. Can Alabama be the national champion?
We can. We're going to have to play well on both sides of the ball. Our defense has been carrying us a little bit. Our defense was not great today against LSU. If we get both sides of the ball going like we're capable of, I mean, you've seen the offensive firepower, the numbers we put up when the offense is rolling. We've been top 5 in the country on defense for a long time. If we get both of them rolling over a 6-game stretch, we can definitely win the whole thing. Now, don't take that as me predicting that we're going to. We got to put both sides of the ball together for 6 games, which is not always easy to do, but we definitely can.
What struck me about Nate Oats, as we've seen his rise from plucky Buffalo to a dominant SEC team in Alabama, is that he does have a little bit of Rick Pitino in him. He has an edge. He has some of that confidence, some of that swagger, and he's also changing the game like Rick Pitino did early in his career at Providence. Remember, the 1987 Providence Final Four team changed basketball by weaponizing the three-pointer and ushering it into the mainstream. Well, Nate Oats' evolution is that he's essentially taking the NBA shot chart, meaning at the rim exclusively or outside the three-point arc exclusively, and turn this Alabama team into essentially playing an NBA style. If you look at Alabama's shot chart, it's like the winter clouds over Syracuse. There's one over the rim, and then there's one outside the three-point line. And I really feel like we will see a lot more shot charts like that in college basketball in the future.
One last point, I mean, to go on that too, and to play an analytically driven and analytically sound style of ball, it works in the NBA. I think it can work in college basketball. But everyone talks about Alabama's offense. What people reference is that their defense might give up too many points. It might not be good enough. Look, it's because they play at such a tempo that they are giving up into the 70s and sometimes the 80s. But when you break it down possession by possession, they have the third best adjusted defensive efficiency in the entire country. And that's, depending on who their strength of schedule is, on top of the fact that you're breaking it down by possession. This is a defense that is well equipped to make a run. Nate was right. I think if they can get that side of the ball to stay where it's been and the offense going, then they're going to make this run. And they're my pick, to be completely honest, a little, impact for the future here on this show. But I like them to win the region. I think they have a real shot.
I cannot believe that Nate dropped I looked up to that guy in high school on Coach Pitino. That's fantastic. It is time for us to take a timeout. Coming up, we'll dive into the South region, one of two regions that doesn't have a Big Ten team as the one seed. It's an outrage. Stay with us on Tourney Bracket Now.
You don't know me, you feel free to judge.
Coming out of high school, you were what? 4-star?
No star.
You no-star recruit?
No star.
Protocol is injury, now you're gonna go on.
The players don't always get the courtesy.
All right.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
Obviously, there's some lines even ambassadors shouldn't cross.
You want your sports news in more than just a few characters? With the help of a bunch of different characters?
You play better than me, I respect this like you.
He beat us, yes. I'm not a ball player. Prince had hops.
Hosted by everyone's favorite character.
Only time will tell if that's a lie or a big-ass lie.
You're Calais Campbell's brother, so Calais got the most sacks that he has is on me.
Give us 2 minutes and we'll give you The Rush. Weekday mornings on Yahoo Sports.
Captain, I hate your pick.
That's all right, man. I hate your pick.
Guys, enough. Welcome to Mad Bets, the Yahoo Sports daily betting show. You can find us on our Twitter page at Yahoo Sportsbook or on the Yahoo Sports app.
Look, if you're betting to get rich, you might as well play the lottery.
All right, Jared.
Welcome to Dunk Bait, where we talk mostly basketball.
Draymond changed defense, putting a modern spin on toughness.
Here with the Knuckleheads podcast, Q Rich and D Miles.
During the playoffs, Harden might be the third best player on that team.
I'm Lejeto Jenkins.
I'm Sirat Sohi.
Welcome back to Yahoo Sports Tourney Bracket Now. Andy, Pete, Krysten, and Preston here with you. Time to look at the players who will display the most grit and guts in this year's tournament. Brought to you by the all-new 2021 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150. Pete, who's the player you think will carry his team on a deep run? That gritty floor slapper, that Dan Wetzel type?
Well, I'm going to take plucky underdog North Carolina Chapel Hill. You probably have never heard of them in the NCAA tournament, right? Well, UNC is recast as an 8 seed. They're an underdog, but they do have Day'Ron Sharpe. He's 6'11", 265 pounds, and he is one of the most rugged players you will find in this NCAA tournament. He's only started 4 games for the Heels this year, but he will change the game when he comes off the bench. And look, he's used to banging. In high school at Montverde, he was teammates with Moses Moody, Cade Cunningham, and Scotty Barnes. That's quite the lineup to bounce with every day in practice.
Krysten, who do you like?
I mean, there's no tougher player in the tournament than Florida State's Scotty Barnes, the teammate of Day'Ron Sharp, who played at Mount Verde, like Pete just said. Scotty is way tougher than Day'Ron. I don't know what you're talking about. He's a 6'9" point forward who has long arms and can take over games when needed. He went end to end in 5 seconds and scored to send a game into overtime against Wake Forest. And I expect to see that same grit and grind to do anything, that whole attitude to help FSU win some games and go deep in the tournament this year.
All right, Preston, who you got?
I'm going with Osun Osunniyi. He plays in the A-10 for St. Bonaventure. He was actually the A-10 Defensive Player of the Year, averaged nearly 3 blocks, a steal, a double-double. And it's really interesting because early in February, the Bonnies had a few games canceled because of COVID concerns. They return. They win 6 of 7, including the A-10 tournament, and they're thriving, and especially on the defensive end. They only give up 60 points behind Osunniyi. And it ultimately is, I think it's the 3rd best mark in the country, if I recall correctly, looking over things last night. But if they're able to do that and make LSU uncomfortable, and then you look ahead now to Michigan, their second-round matchup potentially. No Isaiah Livers, who's, I think, their best shooter and second-best all-around player. You have Osunniyi, who can match with Dickinson, who Michigan uses inside to create matchup problems. I think that's a really kind of creepy, or I should say sneaky, second-round matchup against Michigan where they could actually make a Sweet 16 run here. It's behind him, the grit, the guts, everything in between.
It will absolutely shock you guys to learn that I'm taking an Iowa player in this one. I'm going to go with freshman Keegan Murray. He's actually a legacy at Iowa. His father, Kenyon Murray, played there a million years ago when I was in school. Keegan has delivered incredible minutes for the Hawkeyes. He's only averaging 7 and 5 on the season. That doesn't sound like a lot. I swear all of his points have been momentum changers. Every rebound is contested. He's giving you, in 17 minutes a game, he's giving you a steal per game and better than a block per game. And it's not just that. It's all the back taps. It's all the tip balls. He makes a heady play that is not a freshman play in basically every game. He is a foundational piece for the Hawkeyes moving forward, and they are going to need huge minutes from him if they are seriously going to advance to the Elite Eight Final Four in this tournament. Those are the players who will show their grit and guts this March. Those picks, thanks to the 2021 all-new Ford F-150. Tougher than before, smarter than ever. All right, we're going to dive back into the brackets in the South region, and we are going to start with a fun matchup, a wild matchup that I was looking forward to. When we didn't even know the field, I was hoping these two teams would play. It's Villanova, it's Winthrop. The Winthrop Eagles have been fun. They only have 1 loss on the season. They have balanced scoring. They have a former top 100 recruit in DJ Burns. Can they knock off Villanova, Pete?
Well, I think it would be an upset if Villanova won at this point. Look, Winthrop is my favorite team in this NCAA tournament. They go 11 deep. They crash the glass with 4 guys. They are led by 2 Division II transfer-ups. My favorite being Adonis Arms. Can you imagine being named Adonis Arms? The pressure to do bicep curls that it brings. He transferred from a Division II school in Idaho. Chandler Vaudrin transferred from a Division II school in Ohio. They play fast, which is exactly what Villanova can't do without Colin Gillespie, who's out injured.
I disagree. Everyone's picking Winthrop for this upset. I'm going to pick the non-upset upset and go with Villanova. You guys are all forgetting the winning culture of Jay Wright and what he's built there. Yes, Gillespie's out. Justin Moore is banged up with an ankle sprain, but an assistant told me that he's feeling better each and every day. This time has been good for him to take some time and rest it, and they expect him to be close to full strength by Friday. So I think this non-upset upset can actually happen, and Villanova can get this first win.
I'm with Krysten. Look, I didn't call it a non-upset upset, but I was going to make the point that there's a rare matchup every year, it seems like, in the bracket where the favorite is the contrarian side. And look, I don't think I'm going to be betting Villanova at -6, but it's been dropping down. This was 7.5, even last night when it first opened up. And I understand everyone likes Winthrop. They like the tempo. Villanova, no Gillespie. I understand it. If this keeps creeping lower, like if it gets to -5, I could only look at the Nova side. Look, Winthrop in the past, they've shot elite from behind the 3-point line. This year, they only rank, I think it's about 96. They're only 35% from 3. They're good, but they're not as elite as they were in the past. And I think Villanova can slow them down with their half-court D and a game plan from Jay Wright. So I think Nova advances. Not going to bet it, though, but if it goes a little bit lower, -5 is kind of my buy point for a bet actually on the Cats. So everyone else is on the other side.
All right, next matchup we want to dive into Texas Tech and Utah State. Texas Tech is only a year removed from playing for a title. Really good team, but 3-5 in their last 8. Utah State, number 8 in defensive efficiency. Pete, do we have an upset possibility here?
I think we do. I really like Utah State. This is a program that's been rising for a while. They made the last tournament, which was 2 seasons ago under Craig Smith. They were positioned to make the tournament last season before it obviously got shuttered. And I really feel like this is their best team. The name to know here is Nemias Queta. You can call him Nemi. He's from Portugal, from the under-18 team. He's 7 foot, towering presence. He's 5th in the nation in block percentage. If he can be an eraser, Utah State can erase Texas Tech.
All right, Pete. Well, let me give you a name on Texas Tech. If you have not seen Mac McClung play, you are in for a treat. He is a high-flying guard in transition, and true story, was the 2nd best dunker in high school, right behind someone, you may know him, Zion Williamson. He brings high energy to this Texas Tech team, leading the team in scoring, averaging 16 points per game, and I think he's going to be a great tournament player and help this team win some games.
I'm torn here. Look, I love Chris Beard, what he's done in the tournament in recent years. I believe they're 3-0 in the first round, 4-0 as a higher seed. They're even 5-3 straight up as the lower seed. He's done fantastic things defensively. They've been great. But this is basically the worst possible matchup for them because what Utah State does so well behind Queta, who I think is going to be an NBA prospect, blocks over 3 shots per game. He gives the Utah State Aggies rim protection that forces Texas Tech basically to hit threes. It forces anyone that they play to hit threes. And Texas Tech just doesn't shoot well from 3 this year. They're about 34.7%. They're about league average or country average, I should say. And so ultimately, if they're not able to attack and they're relying on threes, I think Utah State can hang. Like, this number is about 5. I lean to the Aggies side, not quite a bet. I also lean under 132.5. I think it's a little bit high as far as the total is concerned as well.
Pete, give us another team to watch in the South region.
Well, this is where I'm going to get a little frisky with my Final Four pick. I like Arkansas. If you really drill down on the Hogs, they are 21-2 with senior or graduate student, super senior Justin Smith, who's obviously an Indiana transfer. He is like a super glue guy, and he's the perfect complement to Moses Moody, who we've talked about a little bit in the show, who's going to be a one and done. Arkansas assistant David Patrick told me this week, look, we all know Moses Moody's going to be a one and done, but he hasn't acted that way. And that epitomizes why Eric Musselman's team is right for the tournament. They have guys who are perfect for roles. They have a couple defensive stoppers in Jalen Tate and Devontae Davis. They have a refined 6-man in J.D. Notu. I really feel like this Arkansas team has all the pieces to make it fit.
Krysten, give us a player to focus on in this region.
I mean, I'm going to stick with Arkansas, and Pete touched about him, but I'm going to talk about freshman Moses Moody. Coach Musselman does not like to start freshmen, and Moses has started every single game. Like you said, he's a projected lottery pick. He's 6'6" shooting guard, shooting 38% from 3, and ranks into, ready for this, 98th percentile in spot-up shooting, averaging 1.13 points per possession. The fact that he's that good of a shooter and consistent and knows his role on the team, I think he'll help Arkansas go far. And when he'll hear his name called very early in the NBA draft this year.
Preston, help us make a little coin in this region. What bets do you like here?
All right, we're going to go with another side and another total. The first one, I know you generally hear you're supposed to bet underdogs. It's the sharp side. That's not always the case. I like Baylor, minus 25.5 points. I know that they started falling off down the stretch, but I think that's why we're kind of getting a buy low opportunity. And really, they shouldn't get hung up against a Hartford squad that's just inferior. And what's interesting about Hartford, defensively this year, the reason they were able to even win games is their opponents only shot 28.7% from three. It's absurdly low. It's not sustainable. Now they turn and face a Baylor team that was number 1 in the country in three-point shooting. They shot nearly 42%. Hartford, can they hang offensively? No, they ranked outside the top 250 in adjusted efficiency. They don't get to the free throw line. They don't create offensive rebounds for extra possessions. I think this is a runaway. I think it's Baylor's side. I have it projected 27.5, so at 25.5, I think it's a worthwhile bet. And then real quick for the total, Oral Roberts, Ohio State. Oral Roberts is going to run up and down. They also have one of the worst defenses in the country. I think they rank 278th. We know about Ohio State's offense. We just saw them make a run of the Big Ten tournament. Everyone discusses Gonzaga, Iowa, Baylor, those 3 offenses. Guess who's number 4? It's the Buckeyes. They're going to be able to score at will. And Oral Roberts, they shoot 39% from 3, 10th best in the country. I think they'll make a few and they can hang. So I see over the 154.5 points.
All right, let's see who's actually taking Arkansas to win this region. Pete, we'll start with you. Who do you like here?
I'm hesitant to call the Hogs because that has always been a little bit of a hang-up to do publicly. Remember when Bobby Petrino tried it at his press conference? Dana Altman wouldn't call the Hogs when he took the job, and then he left and went back to Creighton. So I am just going to jump on the Must bus and let it ride to downtown Indy.
I'm with Pete. I love Arkansas through this region. Coach Musselman plays 8 to 9 man deep rotation, and I think that will help them in a tournament with quick turnaround games. I have them going to the Final Four too.
I'm going to stay on the contrarian side, but I don't love Arkansas. And we just talked about Ohio State and what they can do offensively recently. You don't want to always just include and weigh in just what you saw recently. But Ohio State's defense is now playing near an elite level, and we know their offense is top 5 in the country anyways. I'm going to ride that, all right? I don't want to go with Baylor. It's a little too chalky. I have Baylor winning the region more often than not from, an actual sheer projection standpoint. But Ohio State's next. I think that they win it nearly 1 out of every 4 times. That's enough for me. I think it's a good contrarian spot where I think most people are going to pick Baylor. Go with Ohio State. Don't trust Purdue, Villanova, not healthy enough. I think it's Ohio State, Baylor, and they can pull off the upset there.
Calling crazy. I'm gonna take the 1 seed here. I'm gonna go chalk, and I'm gonna take the Baylor Bears. For most of this season and prior to the COVID pause, Baylor was right there with Gonzaga in terms of adjusted efficiency margin on the season. They're great. They've got plenty of scoring options. They got Butler, they got Mitchell, they got Teague. Very good team. Preston mentioned it. They are number 1 in the country in terms of 3-point shooting percentage. I love them here. I actually think they have a pretty easy route, relatively speaking, to the Final Four, and I am taking them to win this region. All right. Half the bracket down. We'll break down the other half later, but first, one of the breakout stars of this season has been Illinois guard Ayo Dosunmu. Krysten caught up with the masked man unmasked off the court to talk about the Illini's run to the Big Ten title.
Okay, so you elected to come back to Illinois for your junior year this season. Did not having an NCAA tournament last year weigh on your decision to come back this year and lead the team?
Definitely. I think last year we had a chance to do something special. So this year, I think we have a great chance to be special. I knew coming back with the coaching staff and, the recruits coming in, the players who were returning, I knew that we had a chance to be special.
Illinois hasn't made the tournament since 2013 and hasn't won more than 1 game in the tournament since 2005. Does that increase the pressure at all to perform well in the tournament this year?
No, I always tell my teammates, there's no pressure on us. There's no pressure. I think pressure is what you make it. Like if you attack pressure, like it's a mindset, it doesn't become pressure. Just seizing the moment, just enjoying it, enjoying the moment. We put so much work into our game, into our season. So whenever pressure comes, I think we'll be doing ourselves a disservice by, falling into the pressure. So I try to just tell the guys, just embrace it, have fun, smile.
What's your main focus heading into the NCAA tournament this year?
My main focus is taking it 1 game at a time and enjoying it. I always tell my teammates, like, this is a once in a lifetime situation. Not a lot of people get to, be on a number 1 seeded team, competing for a national championship. So embrace it, have fun. We going out there, you shouldn't be playing tense. You shouldn't play, nervous. Of course, you might have, butterflies here and there, but just because of the platform. But you should be enjoying the game because we put the work in to 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's what all the work was put into. Now it's just about showing it to the world.
You know, Io told me that after he broke his nose and now he's got to wear that black mask. He's going by the nickname Dos Mamba after his favorite player, Kobe Bryant. And Io is averaging 19 points and 6 assists playing with that mask on. So I think he's doing pretty well adjusting to that.
Best closer in college basketball. Shout out to Morgan Park in Chicago. What a great kid. Time for us to take another timeout. Coming up, we'll dive into Illinois' region, the Midwest. We'll see if everyone is on board with the Illini in the Final Four. We'll break it down. Stay with us on Tourney Bracket Now.
You don't know me, you feel free to judge.
Coming out of high school, you were a what? 4-star?
No star.
You no-star recruit.
No star. Protocol is injury and now he's gonna go on.
The players don't always get the courtesy.
All right.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
Obviously, there's some lines even ambassadors shouldn't cross.
You want your sports news in more than just a few characters? With the help of a bunch of different characters?
You play better than me, I'll respect the out of you.
He beat us, yes. I'm not a ball player. Prince had hops.
Hosted by everyone's favorite character.
Only time will tell if that's a lie or a big-ass lie.
You're Calais Campbell's brother, so Calais got the most sacks that he has is on me.
Give us 2 minutes and we'll give you The Rush. Weekday mornings on Yahoo Sports.
Captain, I hate your pick.
That's all right, man. I hate your pick.
Guys, enough. Welcome to Mad Bets, the Yahoo Sports daily betting show. You can find us on our Twitter page at Yahoo Sportsbook or on the Yahoo Sports app.
Look, if you're betting to get rich, you might as well play the lottery.
All right, Jared.
Welcome to Dunk Bait, where we talk mostly basketball.
Draymond changed defense, putting a modern spin on toughness.
Here with the Knuckleheads podcast, Q Rich and D Miles.
During the playoffs, Harden might be the third best player on that team.
I'm Jethro Jenkins.
I'm Sirat Sohi.
Welcome back to Tourney Bracket Now. Andy here with Pete, KP, and Preston. More on this year's bracket coming up in a bit. The best part of the tournament has always been the first few days when there are games all day long intersecting with one another. So we're going to take a trip to our analyst, Krysten Peek's captain's quarters to see how she's planning to sub out the boring drinks and sub in the captain to make her game day more delicious.
The NCAA tournament is finally here, and I am doubly excited for this year since we didn't get a tournament last year due to COVID-19. Now, the game day setup for the tournament, especially the first couple rounds, is key. For me, I've got 2 TVs, I've got a laptop, and I've got a tray of snacks if I get hungry. And for my drink of choice, this year I am subbing in the captain. I'm choosing to go with a Captain and Pineapple. It's refreshing, and honestly, it is the perfect drink for March Madness. All you need is really simple. You just need 1.5 ounces of Captain Morgan spiced rum and 4 ounces of pineapple juice. And some garnishes, because let's be honest, who doesn't want a little umbrella in their drink if your team's losing? We're gonna do a shot of Captain Morgan's original spiced rum, top it off with some pineapple juice. Make sure you mix it. Add a little pineapple slice, and I'm gonna pick yellow for the Baylor Bears. So good. Game time, let's go. Now that I've showed you how to sub in the captain, I want to show you how I'm gonna watch the games. This right here is my captain's chair. I love sitting in this chair during games. It's so comfortable. I mean, I can pretty much sit in this captain chair throughout the whole game. I'm usually very calm and not crazy at all. That's not a foul! Which TV do I watch? Mom, I told you not to call me. It's March, games are on. Ugh. Don't forget to sub in the captain. Enjoy the games in March. Cheers.
Now that you've seen how Krysten will be set up to take in the fun, share your tourney setup with us on Twitter at Yahoo Sports, and make sure to bench the boring drinks and sub in the captain as the most delicious choice for game day. And please be sure to drink responsibly. KP, the drink parasol is pure class. The Galaxy hoodie, that's a great look. A classic, never goes out of style. Love it.
Can I also tell you that my sister-in-law came over at 11 a.m. to help me shoot that, and I want to say thanks to my mom for being a good sport. I never yell at her during games. I always just call her back during commercials. So just wanted to clarify.
Important to correct the record there. Okay, let's break down the Midwest region. Let's get into some of these games, and let's start with a couple of teams that are maybe a little bit disrespected here. Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech. We have the ACC champ. The team is just a joy. The coach is a joy. A wonderful team. And Loyola, number 9 overall in KenPom, number 8 in this region. That is crazy to me. Pete, your thoughts on this game?
I agree. I think Loyola and St. Bonaventure were the two teams that got shafted the most in the seeding process. I think the first thing we need to know about Loyola is we need Sister Jean at this game. Hashtag free Sister Jean. Only the NCAA could find a way to invite Will Wade to the tournament and not have Sister Jean. What's going on in Indianapolis? Cameron Krutwig is probably my favorite player in this NCAA tournament. He's the big, burly frontline force for Loyola. He averages 14.8 points a game, 6.7 rebounds, and he has one bad mall cop stash that America's waiting to fall in love with.
I mean, I hate to choose and pick against Sister Jean, but I have to in this matchup. We already talked about Georgia Tech and their defense. They're entering the field as ACC tournament champions, and they have ACC Player of the Year senior Moses Wright and ACC Defensive Player of the Year senior Jose Alvarado. There's a lot of leadership, and their defense is already deadly. I think they're going to do a lot of damage in this bracket.
Every year there's a matchup where two teams I wish weren't facing each other end up facing each other. I think both of these teams could ultimately make runs, and then they made it worse by making them face Illinois in the second round. So disrespect is the right word. This is one from a betting perspective. Look, I think Loyola Chicago wins slightly more frequently. I have it about -2. That's what the point spread is in the betting markets. I think when you look at the actual X's and O's, Georgia Tech does have a defense where they can pack with the zone. They have the bigs to hang with Krutwig, which is what Loyola Chicago likes to run their offense through. If they hinder that at all, then I think Georgia Tech could absolutely pull off the upset. Ultimately, I'm just going to sit back, enjoy the X's and O's matchup. And, I think if one of these teams can ultimately give Illinois a run, that would be great too. But it's unfortunate they're facing each other right off.
Yeah, committee doing no favors to Illinois with that potential second round matchup. Okay, let's look at San Diego State and Syracuse. Syracuse makes the field. San Diego State is good. They're winners of like 14 straight. They've been fantastic, good defensive team. Syracuse, of course, gives teams all kinds of problems in the tournament with that zone. They've got the double Boeheim situation going on right now. Pete, how do you size up this game?
Well, I really think if you are going to go up against Syracuse's zone in the NCAA tournament, you need a veteran team, you need a poised team, and you need a great three-point shooting team. And that's exactly what San Diego State is. They have Matt Mitchell, 6'6", big, strong, can manipulate the high post area, which you have to be able to do. And I really think one of the keys to playing Syracuse is being able to endure a drought. You're going to miss some shots. But when you look at San Diego State, they're in the top 30 in the country in three-point field goal shooting percentage defense. They're 23-4. I think they're a little underseeded when it all comes down to it. This is a good Syracuse team. They struggled to score at times. They played decent late. Syracuse will always tempt you because of that zone, because if you pick them once, you almost have to pick them twice. But I'm taking the Aztecs here. I just think they're more talented and have an overall better roster, and I think they will win comfortably.
Pete, I cannot believe you're picking against your alma mater. And let me counter you with an insane outside shooter, Buddy Boeheim. Yes, the coach's son. He had 31 points in a last-second loss to Virginia. And hear this, he's had 19 threes in the last 4 games. Sometimes a shooter can carry you through the first round and on through the tournament. And if he gets hot, I think they can pull off this upset against San Diego State.
I can't believe he went with San Diego State as well. I thought I had to sign something for Pete to let me come on this show. I had to go with Q's, but he's not wrong. The Aztecs are the better team. They are. Look, how do you beat the 2-3 zone? They have the reputation as a lower seed making runs. It's because it's tough to prepare for, and you have to be able to hit threes. It's what San Diego State can do. You mentioned Matt Mitchell. Also, Jordan Shackle. I think he's shooting 47% from three this year on over 6 attempts per game. One of the guys that's most lights out in the entire country, and probably the two best players, arguably, as a whole, that are on the floor. And you look at, Syracuse offensively, they're going up against an Aztec defense that ranks 8th in adjusted efficiency, defensive efficiency, I should say, and they're better on the glass. So I'm not really sure where the edge is, and assuming San Diego State knocks down some of their threes, as a team at 38% this year, top 25 in the country, that should be enough to get them to go by.
Looking at this region, it's just a minefield. It is just absolutely loaded with talent. Pete, give us another team to watch.
Well, I really think when you dial in the Midwest region, one of the teams that's going to dictate what happens is Tennessee. The Vols have just been this vexing mystery wrapped in a riddle all year. They have 2 potential lottery picks in Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer, at least first-round picks. Lottery's probably a little bit aggressive. And they have just really not figured out a way to meld that talent with the talented veteran roster. They're kind of like a symphony with a couple gazoos. They just don't sound right. And John Fulkerson's injury fractured his face in the SEC tournament. He took a dirty elbow from Florida's Omar Payne, actually 2 dirty elbows from Omar Payne. I really think a missing piece from a team that hasn't synced together makes me really want to pick against the Vols. But they also epitomize the boomer bust boy, because if they start to win, it can go on a run. So teams like Tennessee determine your bracket. Choose wisely. I'm throwing them out.
KP, there's no shortage of lottery picks in this region. Who should we keep an eye on?
Man, this region is stacked, but you gotta say Cade Cunningham. He's arguably the best player in the tournament and potentially the #1 pick in the NBA draft. He has drawn early NBA comparisons to Luka Doncic. He's a 6'8" point guard that just does it all. The matchup all basketball fans are hoping for is a potential Sweet 16 game between Ayo Dosunmu and #1 seed Illinois. Iowa's playing, like I said, on another level right now. He's a great passer and facilitator in this game. Will be so much fun if either team can get that far in the tournament.
Somehow we haven't even mentioned the 2 seed here yet. Houston, Preston, is there an opportunity there?
That's where I'm going. This is actually the biggest discrepancy in my personal projections and the current market in these round 1 matchups and the point spread. Look, minus 19.5 on Houston. There's not much to this. It's way too low in my opinion. I have it closer to 23. And when you look at them, I just think they're generally underappreciated. They have a few head-scratching losses on their resume, but in the end, that total resume grades out as one of the best 10 in the country. They're one of the best 10 teams in the country. Ken Palm and some others actually have them in their top 5. People aren't really giving them the credit. I think they're just going to run away with this one from the get-go. And anything under 20, I think is great value here on Houston in the first game.
All right, time to put up or shut up. Who are our region winners here? Pete, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to go with Illinois only because I want KP to wear a Captain Morgan's patch while interviewing Ayo with his mask on after they emerge as Midwest region champions. I think that would be a great collision of this bracket show.
I'm going with Oklahoma State. I'm riding with Cade Cunningham, the best player in this tournament, all the way to the Final Four. And he's got a lot of good supporting cast around him with Avery Anderson and Caleb Boone, who have been playing exceptionally well. So I think they are in the right spot to make a big push in this tournament.
Krysten and I didn't plan this ahead of time, but we love the upside with Oklahoma State, and I think they do get out of this region, even outside of Cade Cunningham, who's been averaging like over 20 points just in the second halves alone in these games when he has to turn it on, and they've made this run. Look, that West Virginia game, I believe it was the first one where Cunningham sat along with another starting guard. 2 of their bigs fouled out with 5 minutes left, and Alexander still let them do a win. He had a career-high 31 points. They just have so many options. This is a team extremely high variance. I think they could make a run to the finals, at least the Final Four. They also could lose to Liberty in this first matchup, because they're young and they do turn it over frequently. So it's a really interesting dynamic, but I think they're a good pick to win the region.
I will admit to being a little bit terrified by Cade Cunningham, but I got to go with the Illini here. They are such a well-constructed team. They can beat you inside with Kofi. Obviously, they can beat you outside with Ayo. He is the best closer in college basketball. He's been fantastic all year. That team is just a nightmare matchup. They do, like, this region is an absolute minefield. It is hard to carry them all the way to the Final Four. Hard to carry anybody here all the way to the Final Four. Great region, but I think the Illini are the team, probably the second best team in the country right now. So I am going with Illinois. All right, one of those teams that some of us are high on in the Midwest region, Oklahoma State. Krysten caught up with head coach Mike Boynton earlier today, who admitted the Cowboys have a little extra motivation entering the tournament.
What was your reaction to the number 4 seed spot? I mean, OSU beat 6 ranked opponents to close out the season, including beating West Virginia twice, who ended up a 3 seed. Does that give your team a little bit more motivation and something to prove?
You know, our kids are motivated by all kinds of things. I think first and foremost, they're appreciative of the opportunity to be in the event. I've told them all year long, even as we face the possibility of not being able to play, that, you know, if we put ourselves in position to be in it and we get in, you'll be a part of something that you'll never forget. This is what I truly believe, the best sporting event in all of sports. I want them to enjoy being a part of it. But I also want them to keep in mind that, you know, we were slighted a little bit. Mm-hmm. We had the second most quad 1 wins behind only Illinois. And so we thought we were certainly worthy of a 3 seed. Thought maybe you could make an argument for us being a 2 seed. But our guys will certainly get ready to prepare for a really good Liberty team and be excited to have an opportunity to compete.
Oklahoma State is one of the hottest teams entering the tournament. You said this team is moving from good to great. When did you start seeing that transition happen, and what makes this a great team ready to make a run in the tournament?
Well, you know, I saw some glimpses of it really early on in practice, but you don't know what you have until you get into the competition part of your season. But our last 3 or 4 weeks have really elevated our confidence because, again, we played probably the hardest stretch of any team in the country to finish the season. And I think that's really given us some really strong momentum heading into this tournament, and we look forward to it.
Kay Cunningham, Big 12 Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year. How special has it been for you to coach him this year and see his growth?
Yeah, I sometimes have to remind myself that he's 19, and because obviously he came in with a lot of hype, deservedly so. I think he's the best player in the country, period. But what he's done for and with our program is truly, I think, still a little underappreciated. And so I'm very thankful that he stuck with us, that he believed in us, and humility to go about it the right way. You know the kid well. He's so respectful. He's so respectful, and he works so hard that he's getting everything that he deserves. And there's more to come with that kid.
All right, we've got the under 8 timeout coming up. Then we'll dive into the East region, led by top seed Michigan. Who can challenge the Wolverines? Stay with us on Tourney Bracket Now.
You don't know me, you feel free to judge.
Coming out of high school, you were a what? 4-star?
No star.
You no-star recruit?
No star.
Protocol is injury, now he's going to go on.
The players don't always get the courtesy.
All right.
You know, I got to do what I got to do.
Obviously, there's some lines even ambassadors shouldn't cross.
You want your sports news in more than just a few characters? With the help of a bunch of different characters?
You play better than me, I respect the out of you.
He beat us, yes. I'm not a ball player. Prince had hops.
Hosted by everyone's favorite character.
Only time will tell if that's a lie or a big-ass lie.
You're Calais Campbell's brother, so Calais got the most sacks that he has is on me.
Give us 2 minutes and we'll give you The Rush. Weekday mornings on Yahoo Sports.
Captain, I hate your pick.
That's all right, man. I hate your pick.
Guys, enough. Welcome to Mad Bets, the Yahoo Sports daily betting show. You can find us on our Twitter page at Yahoo Sportsbook or on the Yahoo Sports app.
Look, if you're betting to get rich, you might as well play the lottery.
All right, Jared.
Welcome to Dunk Bait, where we talk mostly basketball.
Draymond changed defense, putting a modern spin on toughness.
Here with the Knuckleheads podcast, Q Rich and D Miles.
During the playoffs, Harden might be the 3rd best player on that team.
I'm LeJethro Jenkins.
I'm Sirat Sohi.
All right, we got one more region to examine. Let's discuss the East, and let's start with, man, this is another matchup of teams that I feel like were a little bit disrespected in the seeding. It's LSU, it's St. Bonaventure. If we care about adjusted efficiency margin, we're talking about like the number 25 and 29 teams in the country. LSU just looked great, obviously, in the SEC title game. Pete, start us off. How do you handicap this thing?
Well, St. Bonaventure already won on Monday because Mark Schmidt, their veteran coach, one of the most respected coaches on the East Coast, was the speculative favorite to go to Penn State and Boston College. Well, looks like Penn State's going to hire Micah Shrewsbury, the Purdue assistant. Boston College surprisingly hired Earl Grant from Charleston. So that means at St. Bonaventure, you not only have your 5 juniors in your starting lineup going into next season, but you're also going to have your coach back for 5 seniors. So Kyle Lofton, to me, is going to be the key to St. Bonaventure winning this game. He's the do-it-all point guard for the Bonnies. He only shoots about 25% from 3, but I talked to some opposing coaches in the A-10, and they said, look, he's the best player in our league. He makes all the ones that matter.
I mean, that might all be true, Pete, but did you see that LSU team in the game against Alabama? I don't know how you pick against them. LSU is a tough team with a little bit of everything. Of course, you have Cameron Thomas, who I know you love, Pete, who's the leading scorer in the SEC, letting it fly all over the court. But also they've got point guard Javonte Smart, who is starting to pick things up late in the season. And power forward Trendon Watford had 30 points against a tough defensive Alabama team. So I not only like LSU in this one, but I also like them to upset Michigan in the second round, because Michigan is down one of their best players in Isaiah Livers. So I've got LSU going very far in this bracket.
Okay, next matchup we want to get into, it's Alabama and Iona. Pete, I saw you tweeting about this matchup last night. It is just occurring to me as we speak that Rick Pitino is in this tournament and Kentucky and Louisville are not. That's kind of amazing. Bama's good. They're awfully good. Great defensive team. Pete, break this one down for us.
Well, Nate Oats has gotten a lot of credit, and he should, for the SEC champion, SEC tournament champions, but he was also left some really good players by Avery Johnson. Herb Jones, the SEC Player of the Year, is one of them. He's a do-it-all dynamic player. You don't get a lot of do-it-all glue guys who become the league MVP. And then obviously John Petty fits in that style where basically everyone on the floor can run and shoot. Javon Quinterly was their breakout player, the former Arizona commit, Villanova player, has kind of found life in this third spot and really adapted to Nate Oats' culture. It's a dynamic team, and they're going to run and shoot and be a blast to watch. So with apologies to Coach Pitino, I think the new generation here rolls.
I agree with Alabama. They're going to roll Tide all the way to the Final Four. Like you said, Javon Quinterly is playing the best basketball of the season. He's slicing and dicing and getting the rim and knocking down the three. And Herb Jones not only was SEC Player of the Year, but he was Defensive Player of the Year as well, and he will carry this team all the way through this bracket. I agree with you, Pete.
All right, Pete, give us one more team to watch in this region.
So I'm going to tell everyone to beware of Georgetown, just like I'm going to tell you to beware of Oregon State. I've seen it so many times over the years and talked to some coaches about it this week. America fell in love with Patrick Ewing, right? The 9-13 Hoyas or 9-12 Hoyas rolled into the Big East tournament hopeless. They won 4 games in 4 nights. Patrick Ewing owned the Garden. He didn't have to show his credentials anymore. It was a great story. Don't let a good weekend trick you into picking them in their bracket. Georgetown is not a very good basketball team. They lost to Navy early in the year. They have 0 NBA prospects on their roster. It's a great brand and a great story, but the evidence says it's a bad team. So don't get too caught up in the storyline. Dial into the personnel.
KP, give us a prospect to focus on here.
I'm going to give you guys a name that you probably haven't heard. If you have heard, then you've been watching a lot of college basketball like I have. It's UConn sophomore guard James Bouknight. Could we see some Kemba Walker-ish UConn magic? Maybe not to the championship game, but Bouknight can give them a spark. He had 40 points against Creighton early in the season and had one of the best putback dunks I've seen all year, flying in from the wing. So He can be a fun player to watch and might be the key to a couple of UConn wins in this tournament.
Preston, help us make a little money out east.
This one hurts. It's a buy low on a UCLA team that's getting 2 points in the playing game against Sparty. It also hurts double for me because I'm technically a Bruins fan, and I usually try to stay away from betting on the team just because it hurts twice as much when they lose. But they should be a favorite here. And I know they dropped their last 4 before this tournament began. You look at those 4 teams, look, all 4 of them are in the tournament. I believe 3 of them went down to basically the final position. So it's similar to Drake. I think UCLA should be about a 1.5 point favorite. They're getting 2 points. Long term, that's going to turn a profit. I'm going to trust the Bruins and take them +2 against Sparty.
Man, am I the only one who fully supports their own team in this tournament? Apparently I am. Okay, let's discuss winners, projected winners in the East region. We'll start with you, Pete.
Well, I'm going to take another dark horse, and I'm going to go with Florida State. Leonard Hamilton has coached in 10 NCAA tournaments. He's never reached a Final Four. Last season, he had his best chance. Florida State won the ACC regular season before everything was shut down. I really feel like KP's draft crush, Scotty Barnes, who she talked about earlier, is going to be kind of like the Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was at Kentucky. He's going to do it all for the Seminoles. They are old, they are big, they are deep, they switch everything, which opposing coaches say really isn't a look that any other team in the country can give you to try to replicate what Florida State brings in terms of athleticism. So if you want some good value in a dark horse, take Florida State out of the East.
I love Florida State in this region, but I cannot go against Alabama and what they did in the SEC championship game. That was the best game of the year, and they proved that even when their outside shot isn't falling, they've shown how tough their defense can be. So I'm going to stick with Bama all the way to the Final Four.
I'm with Krysten again. I had a little sneak preview earlier as well when I said I thought Bama could be the team out of this region. People are stupid on the fact that their defense ranks 3rd in the country in efficiency, and that's adjusted for schedule. It's adjusted for how fast they play because they do play with a ton of tempo. We know they can score the ball and get up and down. I like them quite a bit, and obviously without Isaiah Livers, I think Michigan takes a hit. I thought Alabama had a resume that warranted a one-line seed potentially anyways. So give me the Roll Tide. Yeah.
Man, Preston took all my talking points on Alabama there. I agree with him fully. I thought Bama could be a 1 seed as well. And you look at Michigan, it's just unfortunate that Livers is not going to be able to start this tournament. Hopefully we see him at some point. Don't know that yet, but Bama is so good. They play fast, scary fast, great defensive team. They throw up a million threes, and when they go in, they're just about unbeatable. So absolutely love Bama here. They are also my pick to go to the Final Four. One of the great stories of this year's tournament is Mount St. Mary's. Back in the dance for the first time since 2017, Pete caught up with head coach Dan Engelstadt to learn more about the Mountaineers' run back to the dance.
Dan, it's just been a dynamic week for the Mount. Your women clinched the NEC title to secure a bid on Sunday. Walk me through a little bit of what this week has been like.
It's been so special for our school. Our women's program had a terrific year this year. They were, the best team. They were picked to win it, and so they had that weight. I'm very close with the head coach, Coach Mark Asano. There's a little competition there as well. We both want to do really well, and to see them finish it today and see how happy those ladies were. It was the same feeling we had this week, but just to see the energy amongst these student athletes after what they've gone through this year. It's special.
Damien's kind of become one of the feel-good stories of this NCAA tournament for the amount of adversity he's overcome both on and off the court. What has he meant to you as the heartbeat of your program, Dan?
Everything. And that's, I'm the dummy that didn't give him a scholarship out the gate. He had to earn every bit of it. And, he had some deficiencies as a player, as his freshman, as most freshmen do. But through that course of that year, and we won 9 games, we weren't very good. I knew that I wanted to build it around work ethic. I knew I wanted to build it around heart. I knew I wanted to build it around a guy that we could depend on. And Damien embodied all of that. We're so fortunate to have him in our program, and I hope we can have him for a couple more years because we're going to be pretty darn good if we do.
Great opportunity looms Thursday for the Mount to win an NCAA tournament game. You're in the first 4 game. You're playing Johnny Jones's Texas Southern team. What have you learned in this limited window, and what can we expect on Thursday?
They're a hot team. They've won 9 games in a row. They are very athletic. They love to assault the glass. So it's going to be two similar teams in that regard. But told the guys beforehand, the biggest key for us is the teams that are just satisfied with getting here usually get sent home pretty quick. And for us, we want to stay and we want to get that shot at Michigan. And I know Texas Southern is going to be no different, but it should be a really fun basketball game. And our guys are, they got that really good blend, Pete, man. They're locked in, but they're loose.
Now, of course, we all want to be right in picking the actual winners of this year's tournament, but there are some people who don't want us to win, and those scoundrels, of course, are the folks in Vegas. Jared Quay from Yahoo Sports Mad Bets show checked in with our friends at BetMGM to find out which teams the sportsbook does not want to win in Indy.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here with Jeff Stoneback, Director of Trading at MGM Resorts. Jeff, let's get right into it. What team do the books not want to win March Madness?
Well, believe it or not, the number one overall seed, Gonzaga, is a loser for us. And also Michigan, which is the number one seed, not good for the book at all. And then, of course, we got some small teams that had some huge odds like Colgate, UNC, Greensboro, Winthrop, Abilene Christian, and Drake. They don't have legitimate shots at winning it, but, those are some significant losers for us also.
With the conference championships, I know you guys refunded certain tickets of teams who lost due to COVID, like Duke. I'm wondering, what are the odds of something like that happening in the big dance?
Well, hopefully this doesn't happen. I mean, hopefully we can get through this tournament and without any teams having to drop out or anything. But we haven't made a final decision. But probably what we'll do, if you had bet before the tournament was confirmed, which was tonight, obviously, you got action on your wagers. If you bet, let's say Virginia, bet them on Monday and they drop out on Tuesday or something, we will probably end up refunding those. We did refund the conference tournaments on Virginia, Duke, and Kansas this past weekend.
And last but not least, with the whole tournament being held in Indiana, how does that affect you guys handicapping and setting line?
Well, actually, it is obviously a neutral site for each team, but, they are allowing fans in there. So, Indianapolis is a Big Ten country. So we figure those Big Ten teams may have, obviously more fans than anybody else. And, they'll be rooting for the Big Ten, their conference. So, it doesn't affect the line that much, really, if at all. But, you will probably have a swing there on the Big Ten teams having more fans than the other conferences.
Definitely. So some home field advantage, but not all teams equal. Well, thank you, Jeff, for spending time with me, and I'm looking forward to an exciting March Madness tournament.
So are we. We made it through 1 year, and let's let the madness begin.
If you want to bet on the tournament, bet $10 on any team in the first 2 rounds and get $160 in free play. Just go to betmgm.com/Yahoo special and use the sportsbook promo code.
You don't know me, you feel free to judge.
Coming out of high school, you were what? 4-star?
No star.
You no-star recruit?
No star. Protocol is injury, now you're gonna go on.
The players don't always get the courtesy.
All right.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
Obviously, there's some lines even ambassadors shouldn't cross.
You want your sports news in more than just a few characters? With the help of a bunch of different characters?
You play better than me, I respect this like you.
He beat us, yes. I'm not a ball player. Prince had hops.
Hosted by everyone's favorite character.
Only time will tell if that's a lie or a big-ass lie.
You're Calais Campbell's brother, so Calais got the most stats that he has is on me.
Give us 2 minutes and we'll give you The Rush. Weekday mornings on Yahoo Sports.
Captain, I hate your pick.
That's all right, man. I hate your pick.
Guys, enough. Welcome to Mad Bets, the Yahoo Sports daily betting show. You can find us on our Twitter page at Yahoo Sportsbook or on the Yahoo Sports app.
Look, if you're betting to get rich, you might as well play the lottery.
All right, Jared.
Welcome to Dunk Bait, where we talk mostly basketball.
Draymond changed defense, putting a modern spin on toughness.
Here with the Knuckleheads podcast, Q Rich and D Miles.
During the playoffs, Harden might be the third best player on that team.
I'm LeJethro Jenkins.
I'm Sirat Sohi.
Welcome back. This is what you've all been waiting for. This is really the money moments here. Time to get our Final Four picks, our finalists, our national champions. Pete, start us off.
Well, my Final Four is going to be Gonzaga, Florida State, Arkansas, and Illinois. I really feel like if you are going to pick Gonzaga on the chalk rocket like I am, you better have a couple dark horses in your Final Four if you want to win the pool. Because guess what? Everyone's going to pick Gonzaga to win. And if you need some creativity, you need to make up in some other spaces. So I'm going to have Gonzaga playing Arkansas in the national title game, and I look for the Zags to roll and capture history.
For me, I'm also going with Gonzaga. I'm having them playing Alabama and Arkansas playing Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State. For the championship game, I want the game that every basketball fan wants. We want to see Jalen Suggs versus Cade Cunningham for all the marbles, number one team versus number one pick. And, I don't think they're going to be enough for Gonzaga. And I see Gonzaga, again, making history, and I'm going with the favorite for sure.
I don't know if it was the NBA fan in me that saw a potential Jalen Suggs Cade Cunningham matchup in the final that just had me writing in Oklahoma State every time. But I agree. I think that would just be like the most ridiculous head-to-head matchup. I do think Gonzaga and Alabama are coming out of those two regions pretty frequently. They're the two best teams on that side of the bracket. And then I did need to go contrarian. Pete hit on it. If you're filling out bracket pools, definitely don't just have Gonzaga winging it all and then going chalk everywhere else too. It's not going to pay off. I think Oklahoma State has a real shot over Ohio State again. I think they have a shot against Baylor themselves.
Oh my goodness. Listen to these guys talking as if they're going contrarian here, but all taking Gonzaga. I get it. Gonzaga's great. Probably going to win it. Really hard to distinguish your bracket if you've got them going all the way. So I am way out on a limb here, way contrarian. Of course, I'm taking Iowa to the Final Four. That was a given. I also like Alabama. Alabama's great. Like, they're sneaky great. Again, they play fast. They get up a million threes. They're a great defensive team. I think they can go all the way to the final game. On the other side, I like Baylor. I like Illinois. Illinois has been so good, but I am taking the Baylor Bears all the way through to win this thing. Again, they were right there with Gonzaga very early in the season until they hit their COVID pause. They've been great all year. Multiple scoring options. Talked about it earlier. The best three-point percentage shooting team in the country. I think the Baylor Bears can take down this whole field. They are my pick. Let's go one final thought from each of our experts. This can be anything, another sleeper, it can be an overarching theme, and we will start with Pete Thamel.
Well, I'm going to give two thoughts. One, grateful to be here and excited to be in Indianapolis covering NCAA tournament games. Certainly have missed it, and can't wait to settle in with my mask and cover some games the upcoming weeks in Indy. My other final thought for your bracket is beware of the Big East. I feel like that league was down all year, and I don't see Big East teams going very far. So if there's one takeaway you want to bring back to your bracket on this one, is I would lay off the Big East.
My final thought has to be the talent in this NCAA tournament. We didn't get a tournament last year, and hopefully we make it to the Final Four and the championship game due to COVID. But I think it's all the talent we're going to be able to get to see. Potential number one picks, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley from USC, who we didn't even talk about. He's a 7-footer with a 7'5" wingspan, best shot blocker in the country. And then, of course, Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. His teammate, Corey Kispert, is a top 10 player, and then Florida State, Scotty Barnes. So I'm just really, really excited to watch this future NBA talent in the NCAA tournament.
I just want to reiterate how good Gonzaga is. I don't know if anybody's heard that yet over the course of the show, but they're so much better than everybody else. And I know you're not supposed to take the favorites or the chalk in these types of pools. And Pete was too sharp. This is what I was going to say to end this, and he already hit on it earlier. Pick Gonzaga to win. They just win at such a high frequency relative to everybody else. And then pick your spots in the other regions to go differently than where you expect the rest of the crowd will be if you're doing these pools. Because Gonzaga, in my opinion, this is their year. They're finally going to do it. People say they can't. They play in a poor conference. it's it. It's 2021. It's Gonzaga's time.
My final thought here, I want to tell you guys a short story about a prognosticator, a bracketologist named Buttons. It was 10, maybe 11 years ago that a guy won the entire Yahoo Tourney Pick'em by letting his guinea pig, a guinea pig named Buttons, made all the picks for him. Buttons, a rodent, a pet rodent. It was too expensive for us on this show, so you're stuck with us. Buttons won the whole damn thing. We're here to have fun, right? Any of you can win this thing. Any of you can win your pools. I can't believe we finally made it. I'm just ready for these games to tip. Again, anybody can take down a bracket. Get yourself signed up today at Yahoo Sports. Tourney Pick'em. Shout out to our main man behind the scenes here, Evan Doherty. That is going to do it for Tourney Bracket Now for another season. Shout out to Luca Garza, the Hawkeyes, Joe Wieskamp, AC Earl. Shout out to AC Earl, Les Jepson, Matt Bullard, BJ Armstrong. Let's go Hawks.